All right, so you wanted to learn more about sleep?
Yes.
You want to know why it's so important and how it impacts you?
Mm-hmm.
And to help us out with this deep dive, we're using Why We Sleep
Oh, good choice.
by Matthew Walker. He's a world-renowned sleep expert.
Yeah, Matthew Walker has dedicated his career to understanding sleep,
Right.
and his work highlights how essential sleep is for everyone.
For everyone. So where do we even begin?
Well, you have to start with the circadian rhythm.
Okay.
You may have heard of it.
Yeah.
It's your body's internal clock.
Right.
It kind of dictates when you feel awake and when you feel tired.
Like we're programmed to follow a certain sleep-wake cycle.
Yeah.
How does that actually work?
One of the best ways to understand this is through a fascinating experiment that took place in a cave.
In a cave.
Yeah. These two researchers lived in complete darkness for over a month.
Wow.
They were completely isolated from sunlight.
Huh.
And what they discovered is that even without sunlight, they still maintained a regular sleep-wake cycle.
So our bodies really do have this built-in rhythm.
Yeah.
But was there anything else they learned from being down there in the cave?
What's really interesting is that their sleep cycles were consistently longer than 24 hours.
Really?
So this means that without external cues, like sunlight,
Okay.
our bodies actually want to sleep longer than a typical day.
That makes a lot of sense. That explains the snooze button.
Right.
So if our bodies naturally want to sleep longer,
Uh-huh.
how do we stay in sync with this 24-hour day?
Well, that's where sunlight comes in.
Okay.
Getting exposure to sunlight, especially in the morning, helps to reset our internal clock.
Right.
So we can stay aligned with that 24-hour cycle.
So that morning walk might be even more important than I thought.
It is.
I know our internal clock isn't the only thing that influences sleep.
Right.
What else is going on in our bodies that's making us feel tired?
So as you go about your day, this chemical called adenosine builds up in your brain. And the more adenosine you have, the sleepier you feel.
So our body's keeping track of how long we've been awake.
Right.
And using adenosine to signal when it's time to rest.
Exactly. Think of it like a sleep pressure gauge.
Okay.
The longer you're awake, the higher the pressure builds to make you sleep.
Got it.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about things like caffeine? How do those fit into all of this?
Well, caffeine actually blocks adenosine receptors in your brain.
Okay.
This temporarily masks that feeling of sleepiness.
So it's like a Band-Aid?
Kind of.
Well, okay.
Yeah, but then as the caffeine wears off, all that built-up adenosine comes rushing back.
Oh.
And that causes what we know as the caffeine crash.
Right. That explains why that mid-afternoon slump can hit so hard
Yeah,
after my morning coffee.
exactly.
So understanding how things like caffeine affect adenosine can help us make better choices about when and how much we consume.
Yes.
Now, I know that sleep isn't just one long, uninterrupted block of time. Can you tell us a bit about the different stages?
Yeah, so sleep is structured in a really fascinating way.
Okay.
It's this cycle of different stages, broadly categorized into NREM, which is non-rapid eye movement, and REM, which is rapid eye movement sleep.
Right.
And each stage plays this unique role in restoring and rejuvenating our minds and bodies.
Okay, so NREM and REM.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what's happening during these different stages.
So early in the night, deep NREM sleep dominates. And this is where your brain does some serious housekeeping.
Okay.
Think of it like cleaning up your workspace.
Okay.
Your brain is clearing out unnecessary neural connections, getting rid of the clutter,
Yeah.
and making space for new information.
Like a digital detox for our brains.
Exactly.
What about REM sleep? What's going on during that stage?
Later in the night, we shift into REM sleep.
Okay.
And this is where dreaming comes in.
Okay.
During REM, your brain strengthens those important neural connections. It's like taking all the important files from your workday, organizing them into folders,
Okay.
making the information more accessible and robust.
So we need both NREM and REM sleep
We
for our brains to function optimally.
Yes.
What happens if we don't get enough of either stage?
It's like depriving your brain of essential nutrients.
Okay.
It can lead to problems with memory and cognitive function,
Uh-huh.
and even increase your risk of various health issues.
That makes sense.
Right.
Now, I've heard that humans sleep differently from other primates.
Yeah.
What makes human sleep so unique?
Well, humans actually sleep significantly less overall
Really?
compared to other primates.
Okay.
We average about 8 hours,
Hmm.
while many other primates sleep 10 to 15 hours.
Wow.
But here's the fascinating part.
Okay.
Despite sleeping less, we have this disproportionately high amount of REM sleep.
So we're getting more bang for our buck with all that REM.
Kinda.
Why do you think humans developed this unique sleep pattern?
Well, you have to consider our evolutionary history.
Okay.
So early humans transitioned from sleeping in trees to sleeping on the ground,
Right.
which exposed them to new dangers.
Yeah.
So this meant they needed shorter, more intense sleep.
Uh-huh.
That allowed them to wake up more frequently to check for threats.
So basically, our ancestors had to be more alert, even while sleeping, to survive.
Exactly.
That must have shaped our sleep patterns over time.
Right, and it's thought that this need for shorter, more vigilant sleep
Okay.
may have driven the evolution of our higher proportion of REM sleep.
Okay.
So REM is crucial for processing emotions
Uh-huh.
and consolidating memories,
Okay.
particularly those related to survival.
Wow. It's amazing how our evolutionary past still influences us today.
It really is.
You mentioned earlier that not getting enough sleep
Uh-huh.
can have these negative impacts on our health.
Yeah.
What are some of the consequences of sleep deprivation?
Sleep deprivation, especially chronic sleep deprivation, is linked to a whole host of health problems.
Okay.
You know, think heart disease,
Yeah.
obesity, diabetes,
Yeah.
depression, even an increased risk of cancer.
Wow.
It's like neglecting this vital piece of your overall well-being.
It's not just about feeling tired. We're
Yeah.
talking about real long-term health risks.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And even in the short term, sleep loss can have significant effects on your daily life.
Right.
For example, sleep deprivation can reduce your physical endurance.
Really?
It can impair your reaction time
Wow.
and increase your risk of injuries.
So if you're active, if you enjoy sports, getting enough sleep is just as important
Yeah.
as your training and your nutrition.
Exactly. And it's not just about physical performance either.
Okay.
Sleep deprivation can also negatively impact your emotional well-being.
Okay.
Studies have shown that it increases activity in the amygdala,
The amygdala.
which is the brain's emotional center.
Right.
So it's making you more reactive to stress.
Oh, so have you ever noticed yourself feeling more irritable
Yeah,
or short-tempered after a bad night's sleep?
absolutely. That's the amygdala in action.
Right. Yep.
Sleep deprivation throws our emotional regulation off balance.
So getting enough sleep is crucial for maintaining emotional stability.
Yes.
Now, I know a lot of people struggle with sleep problems. What are some of the most common issues people face?
One of the most common issues is insomnia.
Okay.
And it's more than just having trouble sleeping every now and then.
Right.
It's this persistent problem that can cause significant distress and interfere with your daily life.
So how common is insomnia?
It's alarmingly common, actually. Yeah, studies estimate that about 1 in 9 people meet the clinical definition
Wow.
of insomnia.
That's a significant portion of the population.
It is.
Are there certain groups that are more prone to experiencing insomnia?
Research suggests that insomnia is almost twice as common in women
Okay.
compared to men. And there are also disparities among different racial and ethnic groups.
That's concerning. What factors contribute to insomnia?
Well, stress and anxiety definitely play a major role.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about the connection between the fight or flight response
Mhm.
and those emotional and memory centers in the brain?
Right.
Well, when you're stressed or anxious, those systems go into overdrive,
Okay.
making it harder to relax and fall asleep.
It's like our minds just won't shut off,
Yeah.
even when we're exhausted.
Exactly.
So if someone's struggling with insomnia,
Yeah.
what can they do about it?
Well, while sleeping pills might seem like a quick fix, they're not a long-term solution
Oh, okay.
and can even have some detrimental side effects.
Right.
A much more effective and sustainable solution is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia,
Okay.
or CBTI.
I've heard of CBT for things like anxiety and depression, but how does it work for insomnia?
So CBTI helps you identify and change the thoughts and behaviors that are contributing to your insomnia.
Okay.
It involves techniques like sleep restriction therapy,
Okay.
stimulus control therapy,
Okay.
relaxation training, and cognitive therapy.
So it's about retraining your mind and body to sleep better
Exactly.
instead of masking those symptoms with medication.
Right.
And the evidence for CBTI is strong.
It is.
Right.
Numerous studies have shown that CBTI is more effective than sleeping pills in the long run.
Wow.
Yeah. It helps people fall asleep faster,
Okay.
stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling more refreshed.
So instead of relying on medication,
Yeah.
CBTI gives people the tools to take control of their sleep.
Exactly.
It sounds like a much healthier and more sustainable approach.
It is, and it empowers you to address the root causes of your insomnia.
Okay.
and break free from that cycle of sleeplessness.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Okay.
We've covered the basics of how sleep works, the different stages. We even touched on the impact of sleep deprivation and some common sleep problems.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Now that we've laid the foundation,
Yeah.
let's explore some practical solutions for improving sleep.
Okay.
Matthew Walker offers a wealth of science-backed tips that we can discuss.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can apply them to your own routine.
That sounds great. I'm always looking for ways to improve my sleep.
Me too.
Me too.
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating how we tend to think of sleep as this passive activity.
Right.
Like our brains are just shutting down to recharge.
Right.
But in reality,
Yeah.
it's far from that.
Okay.
During sleep, our brains are incredibly active.
Oh, wow.
Processing emotions,
Okay.
consolidating memories,
Okay.
and even sparking these creative insights.
So it's not just about resting our bodies.
Right.
It's about our brains working behind the scenes to keep us functioning at our best.
Exactly.
And speaking of things happening behind the scenes,
Yeah.
let's talk about dreams. What's their purpose?
Right.
Why do we experience these sometimes bizarre and illogical stories while we sleep?
Well, dreams have fascinated humans for centuries.
Yeah.
And while we don't have all the answers,
Huh?
neuroscience is shedding light on what's happening in our brains
Okay.
during those dream-filled REM sleep stages.
Okay, so take us inside the brain during REM sleep.
Okay.
What's going on that leads to these vivid dream experiences?
So during REM sleep, your brain activity actually increases.
Really?
Certain areas, like those responsible for visual imagery,
Okay.
emotions, and memory become very active. But the prefrontal cortex, which handles logic and reasoning, it becomes less active.
So it's like our brains are putting on the show.
Yeah.
But the director's taking a break.
Exactly.
Which explains why dreams can be so visually rich, emotionally intense, but often lack a clear narrative or logical flow.
Exactly. It's like this free-flowing stream of consciousness.
Right.
Allowing your mind to wander through this landscape of emotions, memories, and sensory experiences.
And since the part of our brain responsible for rational thought is taking a back seat during REM, it makes sense that dreams can be so illogical, even nonsensical at times. We can fly, talk to animals, or find ourselves in situations that would never happen in real life.
Exactly. Dreams are unbound by the rules of reality,
Right.
which is part of what makes them so intriguing.
Yeah.
And while there's still much we don't know, there's this growing consensus that dreams play a role in emotional processing and memory consolidation.
So they're not just random noise. They serve these important functions.
They do.
Tell me more about how dreams help us process emotions.
One theory is that dreams help us regulate our emotions, especially those tied to stressful or traumatic experiences. Remember how REM sleep is characterized by low levels of noradrenaline?
Right.
The neurotransmitter associated with stress. This creates a safe space for your brain to revisit emotional memories without triggering that full-blown stress response.
So it's like our brains are gently working through those emotional knots while we dream, helping us process difficult experiences in a more manageable way.
Precisely. And this may explain why we often wake up feeling less emotionally charged about things that were bothering us the day before. It's as though sleep, particularly those dream-filled REM cycles, provide a form of overnight therapy.
That's such a fascinating concept. I've certainly had that experience of waking up feeling more calm and clear-headed about a stressful situation after a good night's sleep.
It's a common experience. And it speaks to the power of sleep to restore that emotional balance. And Walker's research suggests that this overnight therapy mechanism might be especially crucial for people dealing with PTSD.
That makes sense. People with PTSD often experience intrusive memories and nightmares, which can make it incredibly challenging to heal and move forward.
Exactly. And Walker's theory is that REM sleep, with its low levels of noradrenaline, might offer this safe haven for individuals with PTSD to process their trauma without feeling overwhelmed by fear and anxiety.
So it's like gently guiding their brains through those difficult memories, helping them gradually desensitize and heal.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned earlier that dreams also play a role in memory consolidation.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
So during REM sleep, It's believed that your brain replays and integrates newly learned information into your existing knowledge networks.
Okay.
It's like taking the pieces of a puzzle you've gathered throughout the day and fitting them together to form that complete picture.
So it's not just about storing information, it's about making sense of it, organizing it, and connecting it to what we already know.
Exactly. And this process is crucial for turning those short-term memories into long-term memories, making that knowledge more accessible and lasting.
It's like our brains are weaving stories from the threads of information we encounter.
Right.
Helping us solidify and internalize it.
Yes.
And you mentioned that this process applies to different types of memory?
Yes. Sleep, and particularly REM sleep, seems essential for consolidating both declarative memories, which are memories for facts and events, and procedural memories, which involve skills and habits.
So whether you're trying to learn a new language, pick up a musical instrument, or master a new sport, getting enough sleep is just as crucial as practice.
It is.
It's like the secret ingredient for successful learning and skill development.
Absolutely. Sleep allows your brain to work on those skills offline, so to speak, refining and strengthening them while you rest.
It's fascinating how something as seemingly passive as sleep can have such a profound impact on our cognitive abilities.
It is.
Now, I've heard that REM sleep might also be connected to creativity and problem solving.
Yeah.
Is there any truth to that?
There's definitely evidence to suggest a link between sleep and creativity. Think about the nature of dreams. They're often bizarre, illogical, unbound by conventional thinking. So this freedom to explore unusual ideas and make unexpected connections could be a breeding ground for those creative breakthroughs.
So while we sleep, our brains are engaging in some out-of-the-box thinking.
Yes.
Potentially leading to those aha moments.
That's the idea, and there's some anecdotal evidence to support this. You know, many famous artists, writers, and scientists have reported that their most creative breakthroughs came to them in dreams.
Like the chemist August Kekulé.
Yes.
Who dreamt of a snake biting its own tail.
Right.
Which led him to discover the ring structure of the benzene molecule.
Exactly. And Paul McCartney supposedly composed the melody for Yesterday in a dream.
Wow.
These examples, while not scientific proof, certainly suggest that dreams can be a source of creative inspiration.
Right. It's like our subconscious minds are working on solutions to problems that we've been grappling with consciously. And there's actual research to support this, right?
There is. Studies have shown that sleep can actually enhance our ability to solve problems creatively. In one study, participants who slept after being given a problem-solving task were significantly more likely to come up with creative solutions compared to those who stayed awake.
So sometimes the best thing we can do when faced with a challenging problem is to sleep on it.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yes. Sleep allows your brain to approach the problem from this fresh perspective, free from the constraints of your conscious mind. It's like giving your subconscious the time and space to explore those new possibilities and come up with those innovative solutions.
This is really making me rethink the whole sleep is for the weak mentality. It's actually quite the opposite. Sleep seems to be a key ingredient for unlocking our cognitive potential.
I agree. Sleep is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of intelligence. It's about giving your brain the resources it needs to function at its best.
Speaking of things that happen during sleep, let's talk about sleepwalking. It's always seemed a bit mysterious, even a little creepy to me. What do we know about why people sleepwalk?
Well, sleepwalking might seem strange. It's actually a fairly common sleep disorder.
Really?
Especially in children. It usually happens during deep NREM sleep. And it's thought to be triggered by this sudden surge in nervous system activity.
So it's like the brain is partially awake, but not fully conscious?
Right. And in this confused state, the sleepwalker might do simple routine things, like walking around, opening doors, or even talking. But they're not truly aware of their surroundings. And they typically don't remember the episode when they wake up.
That's reassuring. So in most cases, it's more strange than dangerous?
Generally, yes. However, there are rare cases where sleepwalking can lead to more complex and potentially harmful behaviors.
Are there any well-known examples of that?
There's a famous case of a man named Kenneth Parks, who, while sleepwalking, drove to his in-laws' house and tragically killed his mother-in-law.
Wow.
He had a history of insomnia and was under a lot of stress, which might have contributed to this extreme sleepwalking episode.
That's a tragic and disturbing example.
It is.
It really highlights how sleep disorders, even ones that aren't usually considered dangerous, can have serious consequences in some cases.
Absolutely. It's important to seek professional help. If you or someone you know is experiencing frequent or concerning episodes of sleepwalking, as there could be underlying factors that need to be addressed.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something that's particularly relevant to anyone trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle. The impact of sleep on weight management. I know from personal experience that when I'm sleep deprived, I tend to crave more sugary and processed foods.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation really throws off the balance of hormones that regulate appetite and metabolism, making you more susceptible to overeating and weight gain.
So it's not just about willpower. Our biology is working against us when we're sleep deprived.
It is.
Can you explain the hormonal changes that happen when we don't get enough sleep?
When you're sleep deprived, your body produces more ghrelin, which is a hormone that stimulates appetite, and less leptin, which is a hormone that signals fullness. So basically you feel hungrier, even if you've already eaten enough.
It's like our bodies are sending mixed signals, making it harder to listen to our internal cues.
Exactly.
About when we're actually hungry.
Right, and it doesn't stop there. Sleep deprivation also messes with your insulin sensitivity. Meaning your body doesn't process glucose as effectively. Over time, this can lead to higher blood sugar levels and an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
So we're talking about this cascade of negative effects on our metabolic system when we don't prioritize sleep.
Exactly. And this can have implications for your overall health, increasing your risk of not just weight gain and diabetes, but also heart disease, stroke, and other chronic conditions.
So to maintain a healthy weight and lower our risk of these diseases, getting enough sleep is just as crucial as diet and exercise.
Absolutely.
It's like a trifecta of healthy habits.
It is. Sleep is a foundational pillar of a healthy lifestyle. It supports your metabolism, helps regulate your hormones, and can even improve your food choices.
It's like sleep gives us the energy and willpower to resist those unhealthy temptations and make healthier choices throughout the day.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And beyond willpower, Walker's research suggests that a full night of sleep strengthens the communication between the deep brain areas that drive cravings and the higher order brain regions that control impulses.
So a good night's sleep helps us put the brakes on those impulsive food decisions.
Exactly.
It's like giving our rational minds a fighting chance against those tempting treats.
It is.
Now, we've talked a lot about the negative consequences of not getting enough sleep. But what about people who claim they only need a few hours of sleep and still function just fine? Are they superhuman? Or is there more to the story?
While there are rare individuals with a genetic mutation that allows them to function on less sleep. This is incredibly uncommon.
So those people who brag about thriving on 5 hours of sleep are probably not being entirely truthful.
In most cases, yes. You know, they might feel like they're getting by, but chances are their cognitive function, mood, and even their long-term health are suffering as a result. It's like slowly draining your bank account without realizing it. You might feel okay for a while, but eventually you're going to run into trouble.
That's a good analogy. And there was a study a few years back that looked at the sleep habits of pre-industrial tribes. And it suggested that these tribes people slept less than the average person in modern societies, leading some people to conclude that maybe humans don't need as much sleep as we think.
That study was often misinterpreted. While those tribes people did sleep less, it's crucial to consider the context. You know, they live very different lifestyles with much higher levels of physical activity and exposure to natural light, both of which can affect sleep patterns.
So we can't just apply their sleep habits to our modern lives.
Yeah.
We have different demands.
Yes.
Different lifestyles.
And importantly, their average lifespan was significantly shorter than ours, raising questions about the long-term health consequences of their sleep patterns.
So it's not just about how much we sleep, it's about the quality of our sleep and how it impacts our overall health and longevity.
Exactly, and Walker argues that for a long, healthy life, we need to prioritize getting those 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Most adults require...
So we can officially put that sleep is for the weak idea to rest.
Yes.
Now let's talk about something that's practically unavoidable in our modern world. Technology.
Right.
It seems like our devices are designed to keep us wired and engaged.
Right.
Even when it's time to wind down for the night.
You're right. Technology, while amazing in many ways, can be this major sleep disruptor.
Right.
So the blue light emitted from our phones, tablets, and computers interferes with our melatonin production.
Melatonin being the hormone.
Yes.
That helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle, right?
Exactly. So when you're exposed to blue light at night, it's like telling your brain to stay awake. Even when it should be preparing for sleep.
So that late-night scrolling session on my phone is actually sabotaging my sleep.
It is. Research has shown that even just 2 hours of exposure to blue light from an iPad before bed can significantly suppress your melatonin levels.
So limiting screen time before bed is key.
It is.
But what about those of us who like to read before sleep? Is that a bad idea?
Not at all. Reading a printed book can be this relaxing way to wind down before bed. It's a much better alternative to staring at a screen.
Good to know. So swapping out the glowing screens for a good old-fashioned book could be a simple way to improve sleep.
It definitely could. And beyond light, temperature is another crucial factor for a good night's sleep.
Yeah, I've noticed that I sleep much better when it's cool in my bedroom. Is there a scientific reason for that?
There is. Your body naturally cools down at night. And a cooler room temperature helps facilitate this process, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Studies suggest that a room temperature around 65 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal for most people.
So it's not just about feeling comfortable. There's a biological reason why a cool room promotes better sleep.
Exactly. And noise is another big one, whether it's traffic, a snoring partner, or a barking dog. Unwanted sounds can make it difficult to get a good night's rest.
I'm a light sleeper myself, so I definitely need a quiet environment to sleep well. What are some tips for minimizing those noise disruptions?
Earplugs can be a lifesaver for light sleepers. And white noise machines or apps can also be helpful. They create this soothing, consistent sound that can mask other noises.
Those are great suggestions. It's all about creating this sleep sanctuary that minimizes distractions and promotes relaxation.
Exactly. And once you've addressed your sleep environment, you can focus on your sleep hygiene. The habits and routines that contribute to healthy sleep patterns.
Sleep hygiene. It sounds like something we should all be paying attention to.
It is. It's just as important as dental hygiene. But for our sleep, one of the most important things is establishing this regular sleep-wake cycle. This means going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, even on weekends. It helps keep your body's internal clock running smoothly.
So consistency is key.
It is. No more late nights. Followed by sleeping until noon.
Exactly.
And it's helpful to create this relaxing bedtime routine to signal to your body and mind that it's time to wind down. This could be anything. From taking a warm bath or reading a book to listening to calming music or practicing relaxation techniques.
It's about creating this consistent set of cues that tell your body it's time for sleep.
And avoid stimulating activities close to bedtime. Like watching TV or working on your computer. They can make it harder to fall asleep.
So power down those devices and power up our relaxation routine.
Exactly. And of course, make sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool, as we discussed earlier.
It's all about setting the stage for a restful night.
It is.
Now, for people who struggle with chronic insomnia, are there any other treatment options besides CBTI?
There are other therapies that can be helpful.
Okay.
Like sleep restriction therapy and light therapy.
Okay.
In some cases, medications might be an option as well.
Okay.
But it's important to consult with a sleep specialist.
Right.
To determine the best course of treatment for your specific situation.
So there is hope for those who suffer from chronic insomnia.
Yes.
It's not something you just have to live with.
Right.
There are effective treatments available.
There are. And seeking help for sleep problems is a sign of strength, not weakness.
Right.
It shows that you're prioritizing your health and well-being.
That's a really important message.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and discuss a sleep disorder that's often misunderstood, narcolepsy.
Okay.
What is narcolepsy?
Narcolepsy is this neurological disorder that disrupts the brain's ability to regulate sleep-wake cycles, leading to extreme daytime sleepiness and other debilitating symptoms.
So it's not just about feeling tired now and then.
Right.
It's a serious condition.
It is.
That can significantly interfere with daily life.
Absolutely. People with narcolepsy experience these sudden, uncontrollable sleep attacks.
Right.
Even in inappropriate or dangerous situations.
Right.
Imagine falling asleep while driving.
Oh, wow.
Or crossing the street.
That sounds terrifying.
It is.
And I imagine there's still a lot of stigma associated with the condition, with people assuming it's just laziness or a lack of willpower.
Unfortunately, there is.
Yeah.
But narcolepsy is this real medical condition, not a character flaw.
Okay.
It's important to increase awareness so that people with narcolepsy can get the understanding and support they need.
So what causes narcolepsy?
Okay.
Is it just a genetic predisposition?
Okay.
Or are there other factors involved?
There's definitely a genetic component.
Okay.
But research indicates that narcolepsy is likely an autoimmune disorder.
Okay.
This means the body's immune system mistakenly attacks healthy cells involved in regulating sleep.
So it's not just about genes. There might be environmental triggers that contribute to the development of the condition.
That's one theory.
Okay.
And there's mounting evidence that a lack of a neurotransmitter called orexin plays a central role.
Orexin?
Yeah, orexin is responsible for promoting wakefulness.
Okay.
And people with narcolepsy often have low levels of this neurotransmitter.
So it's like their brains are missing a key ingredient for staying awake.
And without enough orexin, their sleep-wake cycles get disrupted, leading to those sudden and uncontrollable sleep attacks.
And this explains why things like caffeine, which work for most people to boost alertness, aren't always effective for those with narcolepsy.
Right.
They need treatments that specifically target the orexin system.
Exactly. And there are now medications available that can help manage narcolepsy symptoms by either increasing orexin levels or mimicking its effects.
So while narcolepsy is challenging, there are ways to improve quality of life.
Yes.
For those with this condition.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to touch on something that's on the extreme end of the sleep spectrum. Total sleep deprivation.
Total sleep deprivation is a very serious topic that raises ethical concerns.
Right.
Intentionally depriving someone of sleep for extended periods can have severe and even life-threatening consequences.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to go days without sleep.
Yeah.
It sounds like torture.
It is, and tragically, there are historical instances of sleep deprivation being used as a form of torture.
Right.
But from a scientific perspective, it's important to understand the physiological and psychological impacts of total sleep deprivation.
So let's delve into the science.
Okay.
But with the clear understanding that we are not condoning this practice in any way.
Of course.
Okay.
One of the most disturbing studies on this topic was conducted on rats back in the 1980s.
Okay.
Researchers wanted to determine if sleep was truly essential for life.
Okay.
So they kept rats awake for weeks.
Oh, wow.
The results were horrifying.
Okay.
After about...
So we've talked about how important sleep is for our personal health and well-being. But now I'm curious about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What happens when a whole society isn't getting enough sleep?
That's when we start talking about the global sleep crisis.
The global sleep crisis.
It's this idea that our modern world is actively working against our natural sleep needs.
It definitely feels like there's this 2047 pressure
Yeah.
to be on all the time.
Right.
Between work, technology, and everything else,
Yeah.
sleep often gets pushed to the side.
Exactly. Our always connected culture has made it so that sleep is often seen as optional, a sign of weakness even.
Wow.
Instead of recognizing it as this essential need.
Right.
Just like eating or drinking water.
And I imagine that this collective lack of sleep has real consequences, not just for individuals, but for society as a whole.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Studies have shown that sleep deprivation costs developed nations billions of dollars every year.
Wow.
We see it in lost productivity, increased healthcare expenses, and even accidents caused by fatigue.
Wow. That's a huge impact.
It is.
It seems like we're paying a hefty price for our sleeplessness.
We are, and it creates this vicious cycle.
Okay.
We sacrifice sleep to achieve more, but then that sleep loss makes us less focused, less productive, more prone to making mistakes.
It's like we're sabotaging ourselves in the name of progress.
Exactly, and it's not just limited to the workplace.
Right.
Think about the effects of sleep deprivation on students, drivers, healthcare professionals.
Right.
It has ripple effects
Wow.
that touch every corner of society.
So what can we do about this global sleep crisis? Is there any hope for reclaiming our sleep and creating a more sleep-aware world?
I think there is hope.
Okay.
It requires both individual effort and societal shifts.
Okay.
But there are things we can do.
Okay.
First, we need to stop glorifying busyness
Right.
and start recognizing sleep as a strength.
Instead of wearing our lack of sleep as a badge of honor, we need to celebrate it as a sign of self-care and smart decision-making.
Exactly. We also need to advocate for policies that promote healthy sleep habits. This could look like later school start times for teenagers, more flexible work schedules, for regulations that ensure essential workers are getting enough rest.
It's about creating a culture that supports sleep, not one that punishes people for prioritizing it.
I agree. And interestingly, technology, which is often the culprit in our sleep struggles, can also be part of the solution.
Oh,
Think about sleep tracking apps, smart devices that monitor sleep quality, and even programs that offer personalized sleep recommendations.
So we can harness the power of technology to help us get back on track with our sleep.
Absolutely. And perhaps most importantly, we need to educate ourselves and future generations about sleep. We need to teach children about healthy sleep habits, just like we teach them about healthy eating.
Imagine if sleep education was integrated into school curriculums. Kids would learn about the science of sleep and how it impacts their physical and mental health from a young age.
That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And it starts with each of us taking responsibility for our own sleep, making it a priority, and advocating for change in our own communities.
Well, I think this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of sleep.
It has been.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure. Remember, a well-rested world is a healthier, happier, and more productive world.
So true.
Yeah.
I hope this deep dive has empowered you to prioritize your own sleep.
Yeah.
And perhaps even become an advocate for a more sleep-aware society.
That would be great.
Sweet dreams, everyone.